This creature doesn't have suckers on its tentacles. It has hooks, sharp, serrated, rotating a full 360 degrees, capable of piercing through skin several centimeters thick. It weighs more than a full-grown brown bear. Its eyes are the size of a soccer ball, the largest eyes of any living creature on the planet. And in the entire history of science, no human being has ever seen an adult of this species alive, not once. All we know are its traces. Severed tentacle fragments in the stomachs of whales, circular scars on the skin of sperm whales, fragments that occasionally turn up in fishing nets off the coast of Antarctica. This is the colossal squid, and today we're descending to where it lives, meter by meter, into darkness that humans have barely ever glimpsed. Beginning the descent, 0 meters, the ocean surface, sunlight, waves, dolphins playing in warm currents. This is the world we know, the sunlit zone, where nearly all life familiar to humans is concentrated. But it only covers the top 200 meters of an ocean that runs nearly 11,000 meters deep. Beyond that lies territory we know less about than the surface of Mars. 200 meters, the twilight zone. The light here is no longer sunlight, but a gray, scattered glow, as if filtered through dirty glass. It was at this depth, in the 19th century, that sailors began recording encounters in ship logs with creatures they couldn't explain. In 1861, a French warship reported a collision with a massive creature at the surface. An attempt to haul it aboard failed. Its body collapsed under its own weight. Similar entries appeared in ship logs for decades. Off the coasts of New Zealand, Norway, Newfoundland, sailors described the same thing again and again, enormous tentacles rising from the depths. For a long time, these accounts were dismissed as the superstitions of frightened sailors. But they had a real basis, hidden far deeper than anyone imagined at the time. Even earlier, at the very start of the 19th century, a French naturalist wrote a detailed account of a giant octopus supposedly capable of wrapping its arms around an entire ship and dragging the crew underwater. At the time, he was openly mocked, accused of fabricating stories to chase fame. The scientific community rejected him almost entirely. But decades later, when real carcasses of enormous cephalopods with tentacles several meters long began washing ashore, it became clear that his ridiculous story carried a grain of truth, simply told too early and too inaccurately for the science of his era to accept it. 800 meters. The light disappears almost entirely. This is home to the first real candidate for the legendary kraken, the giant squid. For centuries, the only evidence of its existence was carcasses washed ashore and scars on the skin of sperm whales. It wasn't filmed alive in its natural habitat until 2004, and not filmed swimming freely in open water until 2012. A creature the length of a bus, hid from science for nearly the entire span of human civilization. But the giant squid, for all its mystery, has already been solved. It's been seen, it's been filmed, it's being studied. The one we're descending for today has not. 1,000 meters, how science first learned it existed. The story of its discovery didn't begin with a dive, but with someone else's stomach. In 1925, a British zoologist examined the stomach contents of a caught sperm whale and found 2 large tentacle fragments built like nothing seen in any known squid species at the time. At the ends of these fragments were not suckers, but hooks. From these 2 fragments alone, science was forced to admit for the first time that a species existed larger and more dangerous than the giant squid, a species almost nothing was known about except that sperm whales ate it and fought it. Nearly a century has passed since then, and to this day, most of what we know about this creature still arrives the same way, through the stomachs of whales, not through direct observation. 1,100 meters, how scientists calculate the size of a creature no one has ever seen whole. Here's a question that seems impossible to answer. How can you even describe the size of an animal if science has never had its complete body? The answer lies in a single detail that outlasts even a whale's digestive system: the beak. Like all cephalopods, the colossal squid has a hard, chitinous beak hidden at the base of its arms, the one part of its body that doesn't decompose or get digested. By studying thousands of these beaks recovered from sperm whale stomachs, researchers developed a mathematical relationship between beak size and estimated total length and weight. It's through this method, not direct measurement, that science concluded individual specimens may weigh over 500 kilograms. In other words, every figure we cite today, size, weight, tentacle length, isn't a measurement. It's a careful estimate built from the fragments of a creature no human has ever seen alive as an adult. 1,200 meters, the midnight zone. This is where true darkness begins. The pressure here could crush a steel structure like a tin can. The only light comes from rare flashes of bioluminescence in the pitch black. It's in these cold waters, mostly surrounding Antarctica, that the colossal squid lives. Researchers estimate that an adult can reach 14 meters in length and weigh over 500 kilograms, making it the heaviest invertebrate on the planet. Its enormous eyes likely evolved for one purpose: to spot approaching sperm whales in the dark, the only creatures capable of hunting it, before the whales can strike first. And it's exactly at this depth that science finally loses the trail: 1,300 meters. The only predator capable of diving this deep. To understand just how elusive the colossal squid is, you first have to understand how extraordinary its one and only predator really is. Sperm whales can dive beyond 2,000 meters and hold their breath for over an hour, longer than any other mammal on the planet. Their enormous heads contain an organ filled with a special wax that helps the animal adjust buoyancy and focus sound waves, acting like a natural sonar. It's with this built-in echolocation system that a sperm whale can locate prey in absolute darkness, in places sunlight never reaches. Which leaves us with a strange picture. The one creature that knows even a little about what an adult colossal squid looks like and how it behaves cannot tell us a single word about it. 1,400 meters. Why everything becomes enormous in the deep. The colossal squid isn't the only giant in this part of the ocean. At these depths, scientists regularly encounter a phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism, where close relatives of small coastal creatures grow to frightening sizes in deep water. An ordinary isopod, similar to a small pill bug you'd find in your garden, becomes a giant isopod, up to half a meter long, at depths of several hundred meters. The oarfish, a deep-sea relative of far more modest-sized species, grows up to 11 meters long, and its body was mistaken for a sea serpent for centuries. The exact cause of this phenomenon isn't fully understood. Theories include cold water slowing metabolism and allowing longer growth, a lack of predators at these depths, and crushing pressure that may, oddly enough, promote cell growth. The colossal squid, the heaviest invertebrate on the planet, may be the single most striking example of this rule known to science. 1,500 meters. Everything known about the colossal squid has been pieced together from fragments: beaks and tentacle pieces from the stomachs of caught whales, scars on the skin of sperm whales returning from hunts in these waters, rare fragments that end up in deep-sea trawl nets off Antarctica. The only footage ever captured of a living specimen came just recently, in 2020. But even then, it wasn't an adult from its native depths. It was a young, translucent squid that happened to surface. It's like trying to judge a full-grown lion from a single photo of a kitten. 1,700 meters. The one time science saw an almost complete body. In 2007, in the Ross Sea off Antarctica, a fishing vessel accidentally hauled up an almost intact colossal squid, weighing around half a ton in its trawl net. It was one of the few times scientists got their hands on not a fragment, but nearly the entire body of the creature. The specimen was frozen and later put on display in a New Zealand museum, where it's still being studied, measured, and scanned today, as researchers try to understand the anatomy of a creature whose living behavior remains a complete mystery. But even this doesn't answer the main question. A dead squid's body can tell you about its structure. It can't tell you anything about how it lives, hunts, and ages down there in the dark. 1,900 meters. How it may hunt in darkness that leaves no room for error. Science has never witnessed a single live hunt by a colossal squid, but the structure of its body allows researchers to make careful inferences. Its body contains low-density gelatinous tissue that likely helps it expend almost no energy while hovering motionless in the water column, rather than constantly swimming in search of prey. It's believed it may remain completely still in the dark for hours at a time, using its enormous eyes to detect the slightest movement or flash of light from prey or predator, and only then launch a short, explosive strike too fast for its target to react. If this theory holds, the colossal squid isn't a hunter that constantly chases its prey, but a living trap, frozen in pitch darkness for hours on end, waiting for a single, precise strike. 2 kilometers. Here unfolds a battle that no human has ever witnessed. Sperm whales regularly dive to this depth to hunt, And in their stomachs, scientists have spent years finding beaks and tentacle fragments from colossal squid, in numbers that suggest these creatures are far more common in Antarctic waters than previously believed. On the skin of nearly every adult sperm whale, researchers find dozens of circular, serrated scars, marks left by the colossal squid's hooks in a desperate fight for survival. A creature the weight of a small car battles in total darkness against one of the largest predators on the planet, and judging by the scars on the whales, it doesn't always lose without a fight. Based on the size of some of these scars, researchers suspect certain arms may have belonged to specimens even larger than the frozen one currently sitting in that museum. In other words, the largest members of this species may never have fallen into human hands in any form at all. 2,200 meters. What about its smaller but far more famous relative? To understand just how mysterious the colossal squid really is, it helps to look at a distant relative that science knows far better. The Humboldt squid, found off the Pacific coast of South and Central America, grows to only about 2 meters, yet it's well studied, filmed on video hundreds of times, and fishermen long ago nicknamed it the Red Devil for its aggressive behavior and ability to rapidly change color while hunting. The difference is striking. One squid species has been studied inside and out by humans because it lives at relatively shallow depths and comes close to shore. The other, 7 times larger and heavier, remains almost a complete mystery for one simple reason. It lives at a depth beyond the reach of sustained observation. That doesn't mean the colossal squid is rarer, it means it simply lives somewhere we can't reach. 2,500 meters. Why humans still can't just go down and take a look? At this depth, it becomes clear why the colossal squid remains a mystery even in the age of satellites. A regular submarine can't withstand this pressure. Its hull would simply be crushed.
A diver can't descend beyond a few dozen meters without specialized equipment, and at this depth, a human wouldn't survive a single second without specialized armor.
The only tool capable of operating here is an unmanned deep-sea vehicle, controlled from the surface by cable. A vehicle like this helped capture footage of a living giant squid in open water back in 2012. But these vehicles have their limitations. Bright lights and engine noise often scare away the very deep-sea creatures scientists are trying to find. Because of this, researchers sometimes use bait rigs with no lights and no engine, devices that simply drift slowly into the darkness and record everything with minimal lighting. But even with this technology, the odds of encountering a colossal squid specifically at this depth remain vanishingly small. The abyss is too vast, and these devices are too rarely in the right place at the right time. 3 kilometers. The story of how humans learned to descend this deep at all. It's worth remembering that the very ability to peer into the deep-sea world only became possible for humans quite recently. In 1960, a specially built bathyscaphe descended to the bottom of the Mariana Trench for the first time in history, the deepest point in the world's oceans, nearly 11,000 meters down. This vehicle was engineered to withstand pressure thousands of times greater than at the surface. But even this historic dive lasted only a few hours and took place in complete darkness at the very bottom, not in the water column where the colossal squid hunts. More than 60 years have passed since then, and humanity has sent satellites to the edge of the solar system, yet still cannot maintain continuous observation of a creature living right here on our own planet, just a couple of kilometers beneath the surface of the water. 3.25 kilometers. Why space is better explored than our own planet's ocean. The reason isn't only technical, it's financial too. According to official estimates from ocean researchers, the annual budget allocated to exploring the depths of the world's oceans is only a small fraction of the budget directed towards space programs. That's why humanity has detailed maps of the surface of the Moon and Mars, but not a detailed map of its own ocean floor. Not because the ocean is less interesting, but because peering into deep space with a telescope is cheaper than building a vehicle that can operate for years under crushing pressure in complete darkness. 3.5 kilometers. The water temperature here approaches freezing. The pressure could crush an ordinary submarine. And it's at this depth, according to most researchers, that the colossal squid spends nearly its entire life. The main question science still can't answer: how long does this creature live? To find out for certain would require tracking the same individual over many years in an environment humans simply cannot access for sustained observation. So we genuinely don't know the age of the oldest colossal squid hiding somewhere in the waters off Antarctica right now, as you listen to these words. 4 kilometers. The edge of the known. Beyond this point lie regions of the ocean less explored by humans than the far side of the moon. Less than 20% of the world's oceans have been mapped in meaningful detail. The remaining 80%, territory where creatures science hasn't even imagined yet, could be hiding. So why does the colossal squid unsettle scientists more than the already confirmed, already filmed giant squid? Because it's bigger, heavier, armed with deadlier weapons, and yet it remains a far greater mystery. The giant squid was a myth until science caught it on camera. The colossal squid remains a myth even today. Returning to the surface. We've traveled from warm waters where dolphins play to icy, lightless darkness where right now, a creature scarred from battles with sperm whales may be moving through the dark. A creature whose age no one can determine, whose adult form no human has ever seen. Even in the age of satellites and artificial intelligence, even with the most advanced underwater vehicles, our own planet still holds secrets we cannot reach. Somewhere out there, in the dark waters off Antarctica, right now, something may exist whose true size exceeds anything science has ever held in its hands. And we may never learn the truth. Which part of this dive felt the most unsettling to you? Let us know in the comments. If you love journeys into the unexplored corners of our planet, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next dive into mysteries science still can't explain.